Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. Almost all of us understand the versatility of silver and its importance as a precious metal and its use as money. But it's fascinating when you take a step back and look at it from the historical standpoint and how it has been used through history, and really some quite interesting and simplistic facts about silver. This article comes to us from Mental Floss, and it talks about 8 basic facts about silver. And it's quite intriguing. I actually learned something new going through this article here. Fascinating indeed. Subtle silver gets pushed aside next to gold, but in many ways it outranks its illustrious competition. The cool-toned element is more conductive and more reflective and boosts properties absent in other metals, like a reaction with light that puts the silver in silver screen. So we're going to take a look and take a peek at some of these. Human use of silver dates back to 3000 BC. Archaeological records show humans have mined and used silver, or Ag, number 47 on the periodic table, for at least 5,000 years. Silver shows up in slag heaps in ancient mines in Turkey and in Greece, as well as in deposits in China, Korea, Japan, and South America. Its visible shine made it popular in jewelry, decorative objects, and practical tools like the aptly named silverware. Its rarity gave its high value. Silver coins are credited with fueling the rise of classical Athens, and Vikings used hack silver and chunks of silver bullion chopped off a larger block of metal as money. Yes, indeed. And some of you may remember a video I posted quite a while back that actually showcased a vessel that dated back 4,000 years ago, and its use as money, and it actually first started as an alloy with gold called electrum in ancient Turkey. The Lydians were the first people to use silver and gold as money, and specifically silver in time, when they separated the elements and created silver coins. And throughout history, actually, silver has been used as money longer and more often than any other metal in human history. Fascinating indeed, for sure. And it's also should be understood that depending on where it was and how it was mined in the day, there are some parts of the world where it was actually more rare and worth more, like in ancient Egypt. Fascinating indeed. This brings us to fact number 2, how some indigenous cultures were experts at silversmithing. As a soft, pliable metal, silver is easily smelted, but the process requires moderate heat. Metal workers in the pre-colonial Americas didn't have bellows to pump oxygen to a fire. Instead, several people would encircle the fire and blow on it through tubes to increase its intensity. The Inca of the Andes became expert silversmiths. They believed gold was the sweat of the sun, and silver came from the tears of the moon. Yes, indeed. And that ancient vessel that was found that dates back 4,000 years that I talked about in a prior video made me think of why we possibly don't find many of those artifacts very often, because silver was so easily smelted. Perhaps a lot of those old crafts were probably melted down and repurposed in some other manner or form, more likely as coins. Fascinating indeed. Fact number 3, silver conducts electricity better than any other metal. Hands down, there's no competition there. Silver is the best conductor of heat and electricity, so it can be used in a wide variety of applications. Metal solder, electrical parts, printed circuit boards, and batteries have all been made better with silver. But it's expensive, so in electrical wiring, copper is often used instead. And yes, and copper definitely is a great conductor, but silver is by all means the best conductor of electricity. And you can put that to the test yourself. Take an ice cube and hold a pure silver coin in your hand, and put the ice cube on the other end of the coin, and you will see how quickly it becomes cold. Same thing, take a lighter and light one end of a coin with a flame, and you'll see how quickly it will be unbearable to the touch with the heat. Fact number 4, its reactivity to light made early photography possible. In the 1720s, German physicist Johann Heinrich Schultz produced the first images with silver. Now, I didn't realize that. Having discovered that a piece of chalk dipped in silver nitrate would turn black when exposed to sunlight. Schultz affixed stencils to a glass jar filled with a mix of chalk and silver nitrate. When he brought the jar into the sun, the light printed the stencil letters into the chalk. A century later, Louis Jacques Monde Daguerreau created photographic prints out of silver-coated copper plates. At the same time, British chemist William Henry Fox Talbot devised a method for developing an exposed image on silver iodide-coated paper with gallic acid. The effect was seen as magical, a devilish art. But this mystical development of an invisible picture with a simple reduction reaction, science reporter Victoria Gill explains in the Royal Society's Chemistry's podcast, Chemistry and Intelligence, Hollywood could have never existed without the chemical reaction that gave celluloid film its ability to capture the stars and bring them to the aptly dubbed silver screen. Silver salts are still used in rendering high-quality images. So those people in Hollywood, they should be collecting silver, because without the metal, they would have no careers. That's right, exactly right. And so Hollywood, keep that in mind. You should watch this channel, and you should learn something about silver and stack it, indeed. Speaking of photography, this, my friends, is the first photographic image, indeed, taken in 1823 in France. This very rough scene here, landscape scene, taken from above a window in a house. And that was taken in 1823, I believe, which is just 3 years before John Adams and Thomas Jefferson died. So if this photography could have been there in America at the time, we could have had images of some of our founding fathers. Fascinating indeed. Here is the first photographic image by Daguerreau. This is a Daguerreotype that shows people. Here you see 2 people here. If you zoom in here on the street corner, one with this, it looks like getting a shoe shine or something there. But very fascinating indeed, a much sharper image. This image was taken in 1838. Look at that. That's history right there, captured thanks to silver. Number 5, the same reactivity can also cause tarnish. Silver reacts with sulfur in the air, which forms a layer of tarnish that can darken or change the color of the silver object. The tarnish interfaces with how silver reflects light, often turning the object black-gray or a mix of purple, orange, and red. And there's a whole subset of silver enthusiasts that enjoy it, especially with Morgan silver dollars and the like. An at-home experiment can demonstrate the process. Put a shelled and quartered hard-boiled egg, preferably still warm, in the same container as a silver object, like a spoon, and seal the container closed. The tarnish should appear within an hour. Thanks to the egg's release of hydrogen sulfide gas, they grow darker as time goes on. Researchers are still exploring silver's antimicrobial properties. According to a 2009 review, silver was one of the most important antimicrobial tools in use before the discovery of modern antibiotics in the 1940s. The ancient Macedonians were likely the first to apply silver plates to surgical wounds, while doctors in World War I used silver to prevent infections when suturing battlefield injuries. Silver is toxic to bacteria, but not to humans. Unless it's consumed in large quantities, ingesting too much silver can cause agria, a condition where the skin permanently turns gray or blue due to silver's reactivity with light. So in that way, silver can be depressing and really, literally turn you blue. A 2013 study in Science Transitional Medicine looked into the mechanisms behind silver's antimicrobial powers. The findings suggest that silver makes bacterial cells more permeable and interfaces with their metabolism. When antibiotics were administered with a small amount of silver, the drugs kill between 10 and 1,000 times more bacteria than without it. It's not so much a silver bullet, more a silver spoon to help bacteria make their medicine, land developer James Collins, a biomedical engineer at Boston University, told Nature. And that's why we see silver infused in clothing and the like to kill the bacteria that causes odors and the like. Fascinating. It's interesting to see what more developments and how silver can be used in the medical field to help naturally destroy bacteria and make us more healthy. 7. Silver iodine helps make it rain. When regions need rain after a prolonged drought, scientists can seed clouds by spraying silver iodide particles into the atmosphere. In the 1940s, Bernard Vonnegut, brother of author Kurt Vonnegut, demonstrated in a lab that silver iodide provides a scaffold in which water molecules can freeze, which theoretically would lead to precipitation in the form of snowflakes. In a 2018 study, researchers from the University of Colorado in Boulder and other institutions demonstrated the process in actual clouds. The team sent out 2 planes, one to spray silver iodide and the other to track its course and measure how water responded. The second plane recorded a zigzag line of water particles freezing in the same flight path as the plane spraying silver, confirming silver iodide's role in cloud seeding. Bernard Vonnegut had made his discovery while he and his brother both worked for General Electric in Schenectady, New York. The two discussed the idea of water stabilized as ice at room temperature, a concept that Kurt Vonnegut went on to explore as Ice Nine in his novel Cat's Cradle and the Silver Spoon. And the last fact about silver is that silver is responsible for a lot of ghost towns. Yes, indeed. The United States established a bimetallic currency during George Washington's presidency. The policy required the federal government to purchase millions of ounces of silver each year to mint coins or to set the value of paper currency. Government demand for silver contributed to the boom of Western mining towns in the mid-19th century, encouraged by the 1890 Sherman Silver Purchase Act, which increased the federal purchase of silver. But falling values in relation to gold eventually led to the repeal of the Sherman Act, and the price of silver crashed. The mining settlements shrank from hundreds of residents to just a handful, and some were completely abandoned. Ghost towns, or minimally populated near ghost towns with names like Bullionville, El Dorado, Potosi, and Midas, can still be explored in Nevada, which is known as the Silver State. And I would love to visit some of those old mining towns, and fascinating indeed. New silver mines are coming aboard now, and the silver is produced, but some people say that we have reached peak production in silver and also gold, and that from here on out, we won't see any more production unless some other mining technologies can come aboard, which is quite possible, but very interesting indeed. So there is your look into silver and 8 interesting facts about it. No matter what you feel, how bullish you are or how bearish you are on silver, there's no mistaking that silver has quite an interesting and fascinating use in history, and has helped shaped us as a society and as the world. And it has helped to capture history in our photographs over the years. And today it's being used ever increasingly more, for all based out of these 8 simple facts. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd like to encourage you to please rate, comment, and subscribe. And I also would really like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching.